Hi you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back to another Project Life Process video. In this video, I'm working on week 9 from 2017. So the first thing that I'm doing that you see me do all the time is rearranging my photos. You notice that I've got borders on all of my photos and I printed them that way. I've talked about this several times, but I do get questions. So if you are interested in how I create the borders, I do have a video. If you are interested, definitely check it out. I will have it linked below. So I ended up having 8 photos printed. And so this one photo, I decided that I would make it a 3x4. And because I already had a border on it, I couldn't do borders on the sides unless I cut it down, and I didn't want to print it out again. So I decided to go ahead and just stick it on the back of a white piece of cardstock and make it look like it was printed with a white border. The other thing that I also showed you that I think I just blew by was my stamp runner, which is an adhesive that I really like, especially for paper and photos. It was out. And so you saw me replace it and you saw how easy and quick it was. I know that I am speeding up this video, but it is definitely a quick change. So I appreciate that. And I feel like it goes a long way. So just keep that in mind if you're interested in looking at, if you're looking or in the market for adhesive. So I am pulling again from Ali Edwards Bond Kit. So I did that on week 8. And I'm doing it again. I really liked this kit a lot. I've really been enjoying using the products. So the chipboards came from the Bond Kit, and then those cards that you saw me look through at the beginning. And I think it was at that point actually that I decided to make this weekly spread kind of a theme based. So it actually was my husband's birthday this week. Yes, our birthdays are back to back, but it was his birthday this week. And I have several pictures and several pieces of journaling. Well, I guess I was going to do one of his birthday, and then I was going to do another one about his job, which is that journaling right there that you can see that I printed. And then I decided there were other things, like that Post-it note was kind of about a playlist that he's been making on Pandora that's been awesome. So I decided to just, you know what, I'm going to make this spread all about him. I've never done that before, but I really liked it, especially because I feel like, you know, week 7, week 8, they're pretty basic weeks. And I don't want to say basic like there weren't different stories that I could tell, because there were, and I had different stories from one week to the next. But I felt like that I could definitely do a theme here. And so I really liked that I went ahead and did that. So of all the stories that I was looking through or trying to figure out that I wanted to tell, it was stuff all about my husband. So I don't know, that might be something fun that you guys might want to consider doing if you have a child or even a pet, a spouse, partner, whatever. It could be fun. And since it went right along with his birthday, I thought that it was kind of a perfect combination. So what I decided to do is I wanted to do one of the journaling cards that was about his actual birthday. And I also wanted to mimic the chipboard embellishments, that one that says, love this special connection, something like that. And then the other one says you plus me. So I grabbed these chipboard numbers. I actually have 2 sets of them. I think one maybe came from an Ali Edwards set and one came from a Studio Calico set. But for whatever reason, I have 2. So I went ahead and used those. They were a little bit bigger. I did, you know, I don't know, having 2 of the same number side by side, if I liked that or not, you know, but he is 44. So I just went ahead and stuck it right onto the half circle and then just stuck that down onto the cardstock. And I'm just going to set it aside before I go ahead and do the journaling. I feel like I did that several times, kind of figure out which direction I wanted to go. So I saw this card right here. This also came from the Bond Kit. I thought this would be really a really cool card to add some journaling on. And it says, here's the story up at the top. And then it has, you know, obviously those blocked rectangles that you can write your journaling on. And then I saw the other one and I was like, you know what, that might be cool. A cool way to kind of bring the spread together is to have that card on either side. So I decided to put half of it on one end and half of it on the other. And I thought it worked really well, especially because it was black and white and pretty bold. So I really like the way that turned out. And I told two very different stories on the cards. It's just that it worked out. The one thing that I didn't do, I didn't stamp. I wish I had stamped something on the top. Like the card that I'm working on now, it says, here's the story, that was printed on the card. I wish I had stamped something on the other card, just as I'm watching the video looking back, but it's not that big of a deal. So anyways, hindsight, not that big of a deal. And then I just went ahead and told another story on that card. I did 2 lines per rectangle, and then I decided to do, I underscored them as well, or did lines underneath all of that writing. I don't know if I loved that, but once it was done, it's done. So at any rate, I just really liked that card together. So that is something I might consider doing again, because I really feel like design-wise, it really helps to bring the layout together. So the next thing I decided to do is I pulled over some of these die cuts that I have. These are all from Simon Says Stamp. It's their branded die sets, and the one is Love You, the other one says Hello, and then Happy Birthday, which is separated. So I went ahead and I die cut all of them out on white cardstock. Now I do end up cutting up this footage because I didn't want you to have to sit through the whole thing. But what I end up doing is I end up cutting out these dies 3 times because I want to be able to stack these dies together. I did this in December Daily, and it really helps to give dimension, because to get dimension, you'd have to use maybe foam adhesive. And because these dies are so thin, that would be virtually impossible unless you cut the dies out of foam, which you could do, but I just decided to do the cardstock, and that ends up working out great. I also really like it because these dies are pretty thin, so it helps to make them sturdy as well. I was also having trouble with the Happy Birthday. It wasn't cutting out great, and so what I ended up doing is I stuck just a piece of cardstock underneath the plate, and that way it acted like a shim, and then it gave it a little bit more pressure, so it cut it out better. So if you're having troubles with any of your die cuts, you might want to consider doing something like that. So the next thing I do is I'm just kind of cleaning up the die cuts, making sure all the little pieces are out of the holes, and then I'm just stacking them together or just sorting them so I can grab my adhesive and start stacking these up. I also end up chopping up this video a little bit as well because I don't want you to have to sit through everything. I felt like it was making it just way too long. I was also having some trouble with my adhesive. I feel like I hadn't used it in a long time, and it was like there was a lot of pressure, and it ended up getting kind of goopy. So I had to keep kind of wiping it up. I think maybe it's time to get this is Tombow Mono adhesive. Maybe it's time to get a new one or get an applicator. I've seen some fine liner applicators that you can, you buy the applicator and then you stick your glue inside. So I'm thinking about maybe investing in one of those. I don't think it's very much money, but I really like that adhesive or just any liquid adhesive when you're doing this technique and stacking die cuts together, because that way you can move, you can fudge them a little bit and move them around, and you have that ability to do so. So now that I've got them all stacked together, I'm putting adhesive on the back, and then I'm just going to add them to the photos that I want to add. So I stuck the hello on that photo, and then I'm going to stick the love on there. And you'll see in a minute, I end up really struggling a little bit with the happy birthday and how to figure it out. I think the writing on my husband's shirt kind of throwing it off. I wish I had thought about that a little bit more. So you'll see that what I end up doing is, instead of trying to fit them together because it just wasn't working out, I guess I could have done it all in a line, you know, so it went across the picture, but I didn't. So I just went ahead and just stuck birthday down, and I just thought, you know, set happy aside, and maybe I can use that for a card another time. So I just went ahead and added the journaling for this card was all about his birthday. So I just went ahead and wrote in a little bit of journaling about his day and kind of what we did. And then for the last journaling card, I kind of debated, actually. I think, okay, at this point, I wanted to move things around. And I think I actually missed that in the video as well, because I was talking about something else. But you see the love, hello, and birthday. I did not want those all to be in line or on top of each other. So if you notice that I moved some photos around earlier, that's why I did it. And I was also kind of struggling with those two photos that were a little bit lighter that were on top of each other. So I wanted to kind of separate those as well. So that's why I moved that picture of my husband and I, and then a photo of my desk. So then I just went ahead and added my last bit of journaling. And this is the spread for this week. You guys, I really loved the way this turned out, and I loved focusing on a theme. I feel like when you're working on Project Life week by week, you definitely have the ability to put a theme in there, but still be able to tell a complete story. So anyway, I hope you guys were able to get some inspiration. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will catch you next time. Bye.